All right. Last two divisions. We've got all our predictions done.
Yeah, welcome to the house.
Welcome to the house? Just like that?
Yeah.
You're doing that now?
Well, you didn't do it.
Okay. Welcome to the house.
Yeah, so someone's got to do it.
Episode 5 of To the House. If you need homeless and at-risk youth services, you can take it to my house in downtown Wasilla, 300 North Willow Street. Bryan
Hello.
and Isaac here. It's been fun recapping every division in football as we get ready for football season. This should come out on Monday or Tuesday, and this Thursday,
10 days away.
This Thursday, as we record this,
not even 10 days because it's next Thursday is the first.
I know. You gonna watch any college football this week?
I don't know. I'm really interested to see if the Raiders either tank for Shador or try to go out hard after Dak.
What's the pun?
I don't know.
Because the pun for hockey was suck hard for Bedard when you were tanking for Connor Bedard, generational talent a couple years ago.
I don't know.
So we got to come up with something, football community.
Yeah. But I don't know if they're going to do that or if they're going to. And I'm not super sold on Shador Sanders. And so I kind of want to keep my eye on at least a couple games this year.
Okay.
But then I also think that there's a strong possibility with Dallas, who we're going to talk about, just giving CeeDee Lamb $34 million a year. They've now put themselves in a situation where it's either Dak or it's Michael Parsons.
Ooh.
And I'm sorry, Dak, but I'm taking Parsons.
Okay, we'll get into the NFC. I'm going to be watching baseball. Mariners have won their first two series under Dan the Man. Yeah, will the Seattle Mariners be a part of them or not? They have like a 15% chance. Probably not. The one game they lost, of course, was also when Houston lost. So they had a chance to make up space in the divisional race and blew it 3-2. Again, the offense couldn't get going. They won yesterday. I mean, they scored 6 runs yesterday. When the Mariners score 5 or more runs, they have like a 43-4 record because their pitching is so good. We don't need to rehash it. The NFC East.
I mean, isn't that a kind of a high score for a baseball?
No, that's like an average score. Okay, actually, hang on. You know what? Let me not talk out my butt here. Let me look up the actual stats for baseball. Let me tell you what the average. Let's see what the average score is for. I need the team stats. Okay. We've got. Here is the. Dang it. What am I looking for? I want team batting, right?
Yeah, you can tell.
So
we really prepare for the show to bring you guys what you want. We're all about the fans.
Okay. Runs per game average, which apparently, thanks ESPN, isn't a stat that they have readily available. So I'm just going to do some quick math here. The leader in the league for average runs per game is the San Diego Padres, Ozzy's team, with 4.75 runs per game. The Seattle Mariners are dead last, despite being only like 2.5 games out of a playoff spot.
What's Houston?
They're second in the league.
Yeah,
of
that's
course.
my team.
Yeah, that's your team.
Go Houston.
I hate you. The Mariners have an average runs per game of 3.94. So almost a full run less than the lead. Middle of the road average runs per game, which would be, I guess, the Colorado Rockies, which are a horrible team this year. So this tells you how much this stat matters as far as place in the standing, because pitching is also part of baseball, right? The middle of the road is above 4. It's 4.26. So the Mariners, like an average amount of runs would be them scoring 4, and they are averaging less than 4 runs per game right now.
Perfect.
So,
anyways,
and if they just scored 4 more,
anyways,
football, football,
football time.
When baseball ends, I'm gonna have probably a pretty brutal retrospective on this season. It's been so painful. Okay, NFC East. We were talking about the Cowboys. Let's start there. I saw some predictions saying that the Cowboys are going to be the only team to escape the NFC East, and I would assume that those people are Cowboys fans because that's crazy.
That's insane.
That's an insane take. I saw multiple people taking the Eagles in third place in this division, missing the playoffs.
Why? I mean, I get that they looked really bad at the end of that. Anyways, let's go into the Cowboys. So the Cowboys, I mean, they're the Cowboys, right? And so they play in the regular season really well, and then when it comes down to clutch time.
It is clench time for Cowboys fans once it gets to the playoffs because that they're going to disappoint
even before
you
the playoffs, right? Like they start to disappear in big games that matter. I mean, they had like I'm looking at the stats. Dak threw for 4,516 yards last year with 36 touchdowns.
Third in the NFL in yards passing.
Yeah.
Behind
CD went
Tua
off
and
for
Jared Goff.
1,700 yards.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have Tony Pollard, who was supposed to be like the revolution, losing Zeke, and he only went off for 1,000.
And their defense broke a record for most pick sixes in a season or something like that.
The defense went crazy.
So, yeah, it is going to be, man. The Cowboys are kind of like the Toronto Maple Leafs of the NFL.
Yeah.
Although they have won a championship more recently since the Maple Leafs, because it's been since 1967 since the Maple Leafs won a Stanley Cup.
Right.
But the Cowboys don't have anything to prove in the regular season, but they've also shown that they are playoff chokers. They have not. When was the last time they made it to a Super Bowl?
I don't know. That's a good question. But I think because I know, so Dak had a rough start to the season last year. And to finish with this stat line at almost 70% completion rate is insane.
Yeah.
Insane.
Great fantasy pickup.
And so, the fact that he doesn't have a contract and he's going into a contract year is wild.
Mm-hmm.
Super wild. And that speaks to, the fact that, Jerry Jones, man. You don't want to say because he's not going to go anywhere until he dies, but it's bro, it's time, man. You got to get away. Did you, when they were doing the CD Lamb negotiations, he comes out and they're like, hey, what's your level of urgency to get this contract done? He's like, it's not.
With how old he is, you should be a little more urgent, Jerry. I don't know how many more seasons of Cowboys football you have
Tony
to watch.
Romo said that too. That was the one.
Did he actually?
Yeah. He was
I can say
we
that,
don't have,
but
he was we have to get, he was trying to get him to get a player or something. He was like, we don't have very many of these years left, Jerry. And Tony was like, I didn't realize till after I said that meant you're going to die.
The last time the Cowboys made the Super Bowl was in 1995 when they won.
Right.
They have not made it to a Super Bowl since. And the Dak, man, there's so many. I know that Leafs fans hate the comparison to the Cowboys because the Leafs have sucked for have not made it, not won a Stanley Cup for so much longer than the Cowboys. There's so many Leafs fans that have never seen their team win a Stanley Cup. There's plenty of Cowboys fans that probably remember at least 1995, right?
Right.
But the Cowboys, the Leafs have one of the greatest hockey players of this generation, Austin Matthews, scored 69 goals last year, the first time that's been done since the 90s. Just incredible talent up and down the roster, and they cannot make it past even the first round most years. They made it to the second round once. And then the Cowboys had Zeke in his prime, who's back on the Cowboys, by the way.
And just
do you remember that? Because I forgot that till this morning.
He's looking awful.
He's cooked.
Yeah.
He's cooked. Not in the good way. You have Dak Prescott, who is outstanding and can't, nothing to show for it.
Yeah.
So
I think they're going to win the division, but I just don't see them getting over the hump. And what's going to be funny though is I think that is where Jerry's at with Dak. He wants Dak to win some big games. But
whose fault is it for this?
I think the way that they showed up in the playoffs this year was a direct result, in my opinion, of leadership and coaching.
Oh, no defense. Oh. And let's not even get started on McCarthy.
They showed up as a whole different team against the Packers.
I was skiing. I wasn't watching that game, so we'd be out of service.
Yeah.
We'd get back to the top of the mountain, and I'd be like, Oh man, the Packers scored. Okay, anyway, like
yeah,
then I'd be back up. Oh my gosh, the Packers are winning by even more.
I watched that whole game. I mean, like Aaron Jones became ungodly and just like ran all over him. Jordan Love was looking like an All-Pro MVP candidate, and Dak and CD were like on two different pages, and there's McCarthy just like on the sideline, like no intensity, no like, hey, let's get these guys going. That like they don't have that there, and I think that's what's gonna like.
Yep. Not a fan of Mike McCarthy.
Stop them.
Bad coaching, bad ownership, and until that changes, this team will do nothing. Yeah. They will make the playoffs. I expect nothing from them. The Giants are listed next on ESPN, and that's bottom of the division.
I cannot.
We spent so much time just talking about how the Cowboys are, because I don't even want to talk about the Cowboys on-field play. It's all about the big personalities that are on the sideline.
You didn't watch the off-season Hard Knocks, did you?
I didn't know.
Dude,
I know I should. Hard Knocks is great. I love.
It speaks to the dysfunction of.
I've seen the, the clips that are.
I just don't
going around.
I don't love what they did with Saquon. I don't love the way that the GM was talking to Saquon. Like, yeah, man. So you want to go out there and test the market, and then if come back, and if it's something we can do, we'll match it.
Bro,
so like,
you let him walk to a divisional rival.
What you're saying is like, yeah. We don't believe you're worth that much. Go out there and show us that you're not worth that much, and then we'll give you what we think you're worth.
They let him walk to a divisional rival.
Yeah. And the thing
I get
is
that
like,
it's a different market for running backs, but like
not for a Saquon
not
Barkley.
for Saquon Barkley.
And he's like your number one like fans love him, like biggest attraction hands down is Saquon.
Yeah, who's the face of your franchise? Is it Danny Derps or is it Saquon Barkley?
Yeah.
If I'm 12 and my parents are buying me a New York Giants jersey for Christmas, do I want the definition of like, the East-West Bowl from Key and Peele? Daniel Jones is literally Dan Smith, BYU, at the end of that whole thing. Or you got Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
I'll tell you which jersey I'd rather have.
Right. Yeah.
Every team in the NFC East just makes me like they're putting me in a bad mood.
Yeah.
Just thinking about because that's enough time with the Giants. The Eagles,
they don't put me in a bad mood.
The Eagles, well, I like that they got Saquon Barkley.
I love that they got Saquon Barkley.
The fact that I saw multiple people having them missing the playoffs is nuts to me.
I love that they didn't abandon ship.
No, they have the pieces there. They could conceivably be a conference final team at the least. I think with their roster, they should be in the NFC conference final. Mm-hmm. But I have a couple big problems with them last year. The end of the season, a mess. Losing to the Bucks in the wild card round, mess. And where I really think that it all started going downhill, I remember watching this game because my wife and I were with Vegas with one of our friends, and so we were sitting at the sports book, and we watched this game with our friend who's a big Niners fan, right?
Right.
And the discipline problems in that game, I think, started the spiral that cost the Eagles, that just lost them a season.
Yeah.
With all the talent on that roster, they should have been like fighting for a Super Bowl. Yeah. And the Niners showed up and just outclassed them in that game, and they never got a chance for that rematch.
I don't know. I think that they got burnt out. I mean, I think you've seen it too. Like Kansas City looked a mess at the end of last season.
But Kansas City didn't lose to the Bucks in the playoffs.
Right. At Kansas City, I think was one bad call from the Bills coach in that game to losing that game against the Bills.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think there's a lot. I don't think people put enough emphasis on how difficult it is to perform at that caliber, go all the way into February.
100%.
And then what? Then like 2-3 months later, you're starting all over again.
That's what the money's for.
I mean, I get that. I get that. But like we can say that all day, but like the things that they put their body through is insane.
100%.
Right?
But
I mean, you're like crashing into people.
If you don't
at like freaking,
I trust. Like I played like high level amateur sports, and that is a grind. So I can't imagine doing that professionally with way less, downtime just every day. But if you don't want it and you're not willing to compete at the level you have to compete to, there will always be someone else in any professional sport that's willing to outwork you.
Yeah, but I mean, like, their saving grace is that, I mean, Washington is going to be improved this year, but are they going to be able to compete with, the Eagles? I don't think so. So your saving grace is that you have New York and Washington, who are both like rebuilding in your division. They start the season 2 games at home to Green Bay and Atlanta, and then go to New Orleans and Tampa.
Yeah.
All winnable games for them. The Green Bay one will be a fight. And I could see it getting a little off the rails. If they somehow start like 1-2, that's where I could see people like saying that they're going to miss the playoffs, because I don't think that they have the leadership to come out of something like that. Like, they've just been winning with this coach, and so, like,
I think that the Eagles, losing even 2 games, I think them going 1-2 could be a great thing for them.
Do you think?
I think that they need to take a tough loss within the first 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Just take all the pressure. Like, them going like 7-0 through the first 7 weeks could be the worst thing to happen to them, because where they had struggles last year was at the end of the season. I think they need to have no pressure of an undefeated season. I think they need to go through some adversity early.
Yeah.
And that way they're not getting burnt out. They have motivation at the end of the year. And the Commanders, I don't know how much time you want to spend on. I mean, they'll be slightly improved. I think
they're going to be greatly improved. I think that they're going to have a top 10 draft pick at the end of the year. But I mean, if you look at, they were in some scrappy games, and they had your guy now, Sam Howell, who, I didn't know this. I mean, he threw for almost 4,000 yards, but he threw 21 interceptions.
Yeah.
That's
don't want to see.
Insane. 21.
We're banking on Geno returning to form.
And then they got Terry McLaurin. They got Brian Robinson Jr. My big question for Washington isn't, do they have the offense that can keep pace with other teams in the NFL? I just don't think they have the defenses and that's going to be where they struggle.
Well, I hate when, the predictions are just, the teams that made the playoffs last year are going to make the playoffs. But with the NFC East, I don't think the Commanders are surpassing the Cowboys and the Eagles. And I think if any division has 3 playoff teams coming out of it, it's the NFC North. And I think that with the exception of the South, I think we can bank on 2 teams coming out of the West, 2 teams coming out of the North.
Mm-hmm.
And that means that there's 2 spots open in the East, and the Commanders just do not have the roster to make it past the Cowboys or the Eagles without, barring major injury.
I think you'll see like some flashes. I totally
They'll
believe
be scrappy. They're like the Colts for me.
Yeah, I totally believe in Jaden Daniels. I think he's going to be all pro. I think the hype is a little too insane for, like, I seen something the other day. It was like they got Michael Vick on steroids. I'm like, he's played like one preseason game. Like, what are we talking about
Football hype is crazy. There's only 17. It's such an interesting phenomenon because my first 2 sports that I really started paying attention to were baseball and hockey. And then only in high school, college did I really start getting into football. And it's just a totally different mentality.
Yeah.
Like, everyone's takes change on a dime, game to game, because there's only 17 games. Let's rank these teams really quick and talk about a much more interesting division in the AFC East.
All right, I got Dallas, Philly, Commanders, Giants. Although I think the Giants could sneak some wins with Malik Neighbors.
He's just amazing. To be different, am going to say Eagles, Cowboys, Commanders, Giants. Just because I think the Eagles have a better roster than the Cowboys.
Yeah.
I have faith that the
Eagles... Do you
Eagles...
think Jalen Hurts is better than Dak?
They're different quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And they're used differently.
Right.
But
when you put like the game on the line,
who would I rather have?
Yeah.
Do I get Philly's offensive line as part of this conversation?
No, just pick
I don't.
One. No, just pick one.
So I can't tush push.
No. And that's going to be interesting without Kelsey this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of question marks. I don't know. I think the stats tell you that you rather have Dak, but I think Jalen Hurts comes through in the clutch more than Dak does.
Yeah, I think he comes through in the clutch, but I just think that Jalen Hurts has a
has
a tendency to disappear.
2-minute drill? I'm taking Hurts.
Okay.
For a season, probably Dak. Let's stop talking about the NFC East.
All right.
Let's talk about the AFC East because
very interesting.
This is a division where 3 teams could come out of it. This is a division where 1 team could come out of it.
I see. I don't know though. Okay, let's start with Buffalo.
Okay. That is who I think a lot of people have winning the division.
Right. Where I'm concerned is everybody's like, Josh Allen is amazing. Josh Allen is amazing. And he is, right? He threw for 4,306 yards, 29 touchdowns on 66%.
4th in the league.
But he also threw 18 interceptions. Like, that's one thing that, like, gets underhyped with Josh Allen is sometimes he believes in his arm a little too much.
Mm-hmm.
And they completely abandoned their wide receiver room. Like, Stephon Diggs is gone. Gabe Davis is gone. And now they have some unproven guys, a rookie that they took in the second round. I don't know if Josh Allen is going to be able to. I think Josh Allen's still going to be Josh Allen, but I just don't know that he's going to be like MVP candidate Josh Allen taking you to the AFC Championship game.
If the Dolphins didn't have such a bad second half last year, I think I'd have them winning the division.
The thing about the Dolphins is Dolphins had an easy schedule last year, and you've seen when they played playoff teams, they did not do well.
No, that was the big storyline all last year, right?
With Josh Allen, you always have a chance, and I would take Josh Allen over any quarterback in this division.
Yes, 100%. I think Josh Allen is the best quarterback in this division, which I think is why it's easy to have them. It's easy to have them in first place in this division, but there's so many. I kind of think I want to talk about some of the other team, like it, because we have to in reference to the Bills. I think all 3 of the teams that are interesting in this division, their fates are kind of tied together. Patriots really quick. They're going to be bad. They're going to suck. They're going to be 4th.
Jacoby Brissett got dropped on his shoulder in a preseason game.
Yep. Not good.
And then what are you going to do? Like, you're going to send your 3rd overall pick out there to be the sacrificial lamb, dude? Like, I think they don't. If I was them, I would not start him until they could improve the roster just because he'll die out there.
They're going to be bad.
Yeah.
The Patriots should risk absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Be bad. This is a bottom 3 team in the league, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about the Dolphins and save the most interesting team, I think, for last. Here's the Dolphins' schedule. I'm going to give you the first 3 games.
Okay.
Week 1, Jacksonville.
Win.
Week 2, Buffalo.
Oof.
Week 3, Seattle.
That's a win.
I
don't know though. Seattle's defense is vastly improved.
I don't think Jacksonville's an auto win either. I think that's a tough start. This is.
But then you get
that
Tennessee
could be 1 and 2.
England,
okay, so then
Indy,
that's what I was going to say. Here's the top 5, but then here's your next 4 games are Titans, Patriots, Colts, Cardinals.
Yeah.
So
the Cardinals isn't easy. It isn't a layup. There.
No. The first 3 weeks are going to be brutal, and here's the problem with the Dolphins is where they struggled last year was end of the season, getting across the finish line. Last 5 weeks, Jets, Houston, San Francisco, Cleveland, Jets again.
Yeah, it's tough.
I don't know where the easy win is there.
They don't have one, and so like Tua is amazing and underappreciated, I think. But my problem isn't with their offense. My problem is how much of their defense they let go because their cap space is so atrocious.
Yep.
And then they have, an amazing defensive end, but he can't stay healthy. And I mean, he just blew his knee out last year, or was it his Achilles?
I
think it was his
some leg thing.
Yeah, something like
some leg thing. One of those leg things.
And so your defense is going to be not as good. I mean, you still have Jalen Ramsey, who I think is regressing a little bit.
Yeah, he's definitely on the back nine, right?
And the problem is that like I think too with Miami is they score so quickly that their defense is on the field a lot, right? So like even if their offense is firing, right, you're seeing like 40-yard bombs to Tyreek or Jalen Waddle. You're seeing 50-yard runs from Raheem Mostert or Donovan Achane.
Yeah, and
so like I want them to make the playoffs. I do too. It's gonna be a tough one.
Well, okay, so let's move on from the Dolphins and talk about the Jets.
Okay.
In reference to the Dolphins, because there's two Jets teams. Are we gonna see a Jets team with good Aaron Rodgers,
right?
Or are we going to see a Jets team where Aaron Rodgers gets injured again and he's how old is Aaron Rodgers now? He's in his 40s, right?
Yeah, I mean he's got to be like 39, 40. They start the year at San Francisco, but then they go to Tennessee.
40 years old.
So then they go to Tennessee, then they're home against the Patriots, home against the hell? They have 4 home games
in a row.
Patriots, Broncos, Vikings,
Buffalo.
So I'm just like, was so slow because I'm like flabbergasted of how the heck did you get 4 home games in a row? NFL, this is for you. Stop giving superstars special treatment, dude. That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous.
Here's the good news with the Jets. This is what I was gonna hype. Not only do they have 4 home games in a row in the first 6 weeks of the season, here's their schedule. They start with the Niners. Then it's Titans, Patriots, Broncos, Vikings. If Aaron Rodgers is healthy, I don't care how many steps back he's taken. That's 4 wins.
Yeah.
You got Buffalo.
Yeah.
It's going to be a tough game on Monday Night Football. And then you've got Steelers, Patriots, Houston, Cardinals, Colts.
Yeah.
This is one of the softest schedules I've seen while we've been doing this. You get your bye week right in the middle of the season, right where I like to have it.
Yep. And guys are getting banged up.
The end of your season is Seattle, Miami, Jacksonville, Los Angeles, Buffalo, Miami. Yeah. You are going to be maybe not a favorite in all those games. You've got a fighting shot. There are very few games on this schedule where I'm like, ooh, man, that probably is a loss for the Jets. Niners are going to be tough. Houston is going to be tough. Sucks you have to play Houston. Yeah. But then Buffalo.
Well, Buffalo did a lot.
They're in your division. So
they did a lot of the same things Miami did, and because their cap space is so atrocious, they had to let a lot of guys walk. This schedule is set up in such a way that if Aaron Rodgers is like 70% of prime Aaron Rodgers, that this Jets team could be first in the division. Easily. I have them winning the division.
You have them winning the division?
For sure. I think that Miami hasn't shown that they're going to be able to be consistent throughout the year. Buffalo, I think just because of the loss of talent, is going to lose some close games. And then you got the Patriots, who are dog water.
Here's the problem with the Jets is that,
dude, they have a lights out defense. Garrett Wilson went up for 1,000 yards with Zach Wilson.
But will Aaron Rodgers play this full season? Because they are not a playoff team without Aaron Rodgers. Who's their backup quarterback?
I have no idea.
I don't know. If the Jets don't make the playoffs, it's because they either have an injury or it's because or they just are an incredible disappointment. This is maybe the easiest road to the playoffs I've seen for any team.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know how strength, and I'm going to look it up as you rank your teams, but I'm going to check strength of schedule for this season and see where they're ranked.
Yeah, so I got the Jets number 1 taking the division. I got Miami number 2 taking a playoff spot. I got Buffalo 3 missing the playoffs, and then New England. I think Buffalo is going to be like a 9-win team and miss the playoffs. Yeah, I just think they're gonna lose a couple close games, and I don't think it's gonna be like they're not gonna be atrocious, and they're gonna have weeks where they're like look like Super Bowl contenders, but then I think they're also gonna run into some gaps where you're just going against a better team. And Josh Allen's not going to be able to always just fill that gap.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay. Jets' fourth easiest schedule in the
So
NFL this season,
stupid,
at least
dude.
at the beginning of the year, right?
Yeah. They want the Jets to win so bad.
So frustrating. So I'm gonna
'Cause
go.
their fans are
I'm gonna
crazy.
go. Dolphins 1
No.
because they can.
You're off your rocker.
Because they can. I'm gonna go Jets 2. I'm gonna go Bills 3. Because now that I have strength of schedule pulled up, Bills have the ninth hardest schedule in the NFL. They're in the bottom 10 teams for strength of schedule, or top 10 teams for hardest strength of schedule.
Yeah.
Patriots are an easy 4. The Bills, I think, are going to be either 10-7 or 9-8. And I think they will make the playoffs at 10-7, or they will miss the playoffs at 9-8, because we have one team coming out of the AFC West,
Right.
and so I think that what will happen is we will either see 3 teams come out of the AFC East, or
3 teams coming out of the North.
yeah,
You could get 2 easily.
you
out
could
of the
get
South.
2-2, but that kind of depends on Jacksonville because they play, I think, all these AFC East teams, or at least 1 or 2 AFC East teams.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
It's gonna be
AFC
interesting
East
year.
is really, really interesting.
Yeah.
They're like the opposite of the NFC East.
Right.
All right. That's every division in football.
Yeah, we did it.
We did it.
Yeah.
We did it. Next week, we'll talk about something else. Although it will be the first week of football, so we'll probably talk about some football at least.
Yeah.
I mean,
Do some
really quick
predictions.
before we get out of here, Super Bowl prediction. Way too early. Super Bowl prediction. Go.
Oh, dang, on the spot.
You don't have to. Well, no, you do have to pick a winner. 2 teams and a winner.
I'm taking Detroit
Ooh, I like that.
over the Bengals.
Detroit over the Bengals. That'd be such a fun Super Bowl.
That would be a fun.
We're
Super
not
Bowl.
going to get that.
Yeah.
You know we're not going to get that.
We need to see the logo.
I've
colors.
got the Kansas City Chiefs
Yeah, of course you do.
playing for the three-peat,
I want
but losing
you.
to the Philadelphia Eagles.
I was gonna roast you, dude. I was gonna annihilate you.
Even when we're rooting against each other, sports unite us all, and we'll see you next
Together.
time on To the House.
Hello?
To the House.